Do you ever feel like you're running at full speed, but somehow the money just isn't there in your construction business? You're winning jobs, right? You're keeping your crew busy, you're hitting your deadlines, but the profits just aren't really showing up like they should. If that's you, I don't think you're alone. I wasn't alone either, back in the day. And I've talked to hundreds of contractors across the world, and I can tell you with confidence that profit doesn't usually just vanish because of one big mistake. It leaks out slowly, job after job, right? So in this video, the one you're watching right now, I'm going to break down the 3 processes that I've seen contractors lose profit the most and how to fix them before they eat into the growth of your construction company. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jesse Lane. I've been in construction for multiple decades. I had a successful commercial general contracting company, and now I am shifting my focus to building the all-in-one platform, the software platform called Structure, which you can check out for free at structure.com and try it for your business. It literally has every single tool that your construction business needs, from managing your leads in a CRM, to managing your projects with full project management tools, to managing your financials, and even managing your business, the operations of your company and the company operations, anything from building SOPs to managing your team, everything you need to grow your company. So check it out for free at structure.com. Don't think you'll be disappointed. One of the biggest mistakes that I see contractors make is over-delivering without charging for it. One contractor that I was working with a while back was very proud of how well his team treated his clients. And honestly, he had built a really great reputation from it, and which is awesome, right? But when we looked at his financials, the margins were way tighter than they should have been and that they could have been, right? And the reason is simple. His team kept doing all these little extras, all these little, what should have been little change orders for his clients, like minor layout changes, extra walkthroughs and paint touch-ups, and handling last minute change requests that never really went through a formal approval process, right? All of it felt like we're being helpful and all this is good, but none of it was tracked. None of it was really on the scope of work, and none of it got billed for. So don't get me wrong, going above and beyond is fantastic, and you can build a great reputation from doing this, but there has to be a balance here, right? We don't want a death by 1,000 paper cuts. And when over generosity becomes a habit and it becomes a culture inside of your company and your team starts doing it, it's going to really kill your profit, right? So you need to balance this. And even worse, you're going to train your clients to expect it for free, right? They're going to start asking you to do stuff and not expect a change order. So here's what I recommend that you fix this week. Start creating a log of anything that might need to be changed and just create a change order for it. You can do it right inside of Structure. Just say to your clients, absolutely, we can handle that. Let me just send over a little change order so it's documented and we can just tackle that next week. It's professional, it's respectful, and it protects your margin, because you're not just a contractor, right? You're a business owner. And part of your job is making sure that the value you provide, you're getting paid for, right? I remember a while back, I was talking to a contractor who was hitting some pretty strong numbers on paper, right? He was building bigger jobs, had some solid revenue, but his monthly net profit was all over the place, right? Some months looked really great, others not so much. But when we dug in, the issue wasn't markup or labor. It was the gaps between jobs. His crew would finish a project, then sit idle for days on end waiting for permits to clear or materials to arrive or scope of work to get finalized. And every day they weren't moving forward, that was profit leaking straight out of the side of the business, right? Because he had them on payroll. So here's the thing that most GCs forget. You don't just lose money from mistakes, you can also lose it from lack of momentum. And so the fix that he put in place was simple, and it was game changing. A next job ready checklist. Before a project even wrapped up, the team had to confirm materials were ordered and scheduled, subcontractors were lined up, permits were in hand, the client had signed off on the scope of work and the schedule. So that one shift compressed the downtime between jobs and created a steadier, more predictable profit curve, right? Without adding more projects onto the calendar. So that one simple shift really compressed the downtime between his jobs, and he really was able to scale his net profit, right? So if you notice any lulls between jobs, it's maybe time to build a couple simple checklists like this. And all of the checklists that you put in place inside of your company, they don't need to be fancy. They just need to be repeatable, right? Think of it like a launch sequence for every new project, because when you tighten the space between jobs, you start scaling your profits. But here's a kicker. Even when your systems are dialed in and your team is efficient, the wrong kind of job can actually wipe out your margin. And this brings us to the third leak, which I see way too often, which is saying yes to the wrong types of projects. I remember one of these contractors that I was talking to had solid operations, a great team, and decent margins on paper. But month after month, he kept asking himself, why is the profit still disappearing? And we traced it back to a pattern. He was saying yes to projects just because the check looked good. But the problem, the scopes were outside his team's strengths, so they struggled during the project, and it ate up his margins. The clients were high maintenance, and the jobs dragged on with rework and miscommunications and schedule delays, etc. And by the time he had handled all the friction and the stress and the constant oversight and all the extras, the profit was gone, and so was his energy. So just because a job pays well, at least on the surface, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth it. So he introduced something into his business, the decision filter, which defines what kind of projects he's going to take, what his ideal clients were, what the ideal profit margin targets that he was going to aim for, and whether the job fits the vision that he was actually trying to build his company towards, right? So it turned his gut decisions into business decisions. So now instead of saying yes to every single opportunity that dropped into his inbox, he ran it through his filter, which fit his ultimate company mission. And if it doesn't fit, it was a no. So if you don't have something like a decision filtering system, just maybe take 15 minutes to sometime this month and write it out and put it into an SOP inside of Structure. Then your team can reference that, and you can even reference it, in the future, to make sure that a project or any sort of decision for your business fits your ultimate company vision. So the goal isn't to just work harder. We want to work smarter by tightening these 3 areas. Stop over delivering without a paper trail and get change orders. Close the gap between jobs so you have a tighter job schedule, and say no to projects that don't serve your ultimate business dream. So these aren't necessarily complicated, but they definitely shift you from being a busy contractor that just is running like a chicken with its head cut off to being a scalable contractor that can grow a business that stands the test of time. So if this was helpful, leave a like on this video, and down below you're going to see structure.com, and I would recommend signing up and get starting for free. If you're already in Structure, maybe leave a little comment below being like, this is how I've used Structure to streamline my business and I love it, or whatever. Let some other contractors know some ways you've figured out, some SOPs maybe you've written, or some checklists you've put in place that have helped your team. And let's talk in the comments. So thanks so much for watching this video. You can always check out the next video that's going to pop up, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.